Hey guys, welcome to part three of the producer, the actress, and the brother. So you kind of learned a little bit about the producer in the first couple parts of the story. Now you're going to learn about the actress. So as I had said, and I apologize, I keep kind of clearing my throat and making that little noise. I've noticed it's a bad habit of mine as I listen back on these. So hopefully I can correct it a little as we go further here. I'm sure there are going to be some comments about that. But the actress my friend knows that he ends up hooking me up with is an actress who was very big in like the 80s and I think the 90s. Her name's Nastassja Kinski. Her father was very big at where she comes from. It's been a long time since I thought of this. It's either Poland or Germany or Austria. I should have looked this up before I started talking, but I'd like these to have a very conversational flow to them. So hopefully if you guys enjoy them, that's one thing you enjoy about them. But I look up everything about her I can because I'm going to go meet her the next morning. And he tells me two things. One, he tells me, be careful about when you get there for two reasons. The first is she has a few kids. A couple of them are with Quincy Jones, who is, if you don't know that name, one of the biggest music producers ever. And he was Michael Jackson's producer. So, huge name. She was a very big name. He was a huge name. Now, this is a little bit past their primes, of course, because this is in like '04, '05, I want to say. But either way. So he tells me Quincy has a huge giant mansion overlooking her mansion, like from a cliff up there. So he's always watching what's going on down there. So be careful with that. And two, there's armed security there. So I'm going there like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? She lives in Bel Air. So I leave, I leave the mansion. I would have still been at the mansion at this point. I drive to Bel Air. You got to take like a left, a right, a left, a right. And she lives right on the corner of, if you've ever driven up like Bel Air, is it Bel Air Drive, Bel Air Road, whatever the main road is, it's beautiful. Like on your right, there's all these woods and it drops down. Then as you get towards the top, she lives right there. And you can see a big house above her. I'm assuming that was Quincy's. So I kind of just pull there and wait. And I'm kind of nervous to get out of the car. I'm just kind of looking and waiting for her to come up because I've been told there's armed security. It ends up that there wasn't armed security in front of her house or anything. The way Bel Air works is they have a little security station in the front of the community, probably in the back as well. And they all sit there. And if they notice something in the cameras or an alarm or something, they fly up, with guns and stuff. And you better have a good explanation. But so I'm just sitting there waiting. And finally someone pulls in to her gate open, a car pulls up, she probably hits the thing in her car, the gate opens, and she drives in and parks. And I had parked on the street, so I get up and I'm walking towards her, and she comes walking out of the gate. She's staring at me as we're walking towards each other with like a smile. The very first, I say, hi, I start talking, I'm Jason, Bob's friend. The very first thing she says to me, she shakes my hand and says, my daughter would love to meet you. First thing she says to me, and I'm like, okay. And forgive my horrible accent. Any of you that know her know she has an accent. Probably doesn't sound anything like that, but I stink at accents. So she takes me inside. This is in the morning. And she basically tells me the story about I don't want to get into too much detail because we're dealing with family histories, but some trouble that her daughter has recently been in and how she wants some better influences in her daughter's life. Now, she has three kids. One is Ali that she has with some guy who's a producer. It was the older brother of the three. I never even met him. Then there's the middle one, Sonia. I think Sonia's father is also the same father as Ali, not Quincy. I'm almost positive. Yeah, I'm almost positive. She was about my age, so she would be around 21, 22 at this time. And then there's the younger one, Kenya, who is Quincy's daughter. So when she's talking about her daughter at this time, she's talking about Sonia because I'm about her age. So she asked me, I think my daughter would love you. You don't do any drugs, do you? I say, no, I don't do any drugs. Perfect. Just come back tonight and I'm going to have you go meet her and I'm going to pay you as if you're working for me. And I'm like, okay, sure. And as I'm leaving, I'm like, what? So this is on a Friday. I remember specifically. I get back, let's say about 4:00 p.m. We set the time for. which is the worst time we could have did this. Because if anyone knows anything about Friday traffic in LA, it's awful. So I get there about 4:30, whatever it was. She has one of those. If you've ever seen those, they're like what do they call edible arrangements? They're like fruit shaped like flowers. This big giant edible arrangements on the table. So she says to me, yeah, reiterates the story about her daughter that she had told me what happened to her. I wanted to meet some better people. So I want you, okay, yeah, I want you to take this edible arrangement to where she is. I say, okay. She says, and I don't want you to tell her it's from me. I want you to tell her it's from you. And I'm like, but I don't even know her. And she's like, shh, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And at this time, the daughter was filming a movie in Koreatown. If you have any interest in looking up the movie, it was originally going to be called K-Town. Then I think it changed to K-Town Super Frog. I don't know, don't ask me. But I think it eventually got released under the title All God's Children Can Dance. So this was the last night of that filming. So I take this edible arrangement, and she says, you got to say it's from you. She says, you got to do it today because it's the last day of them being on the set. I want you to go there and meet her on the set. She says, there's going to be a producer there or director, whatever it was, and he's not going to try to let you in, but tell him you have to go in and meet her. You have to. Her mother says you have to meet her. I'm like, I'll try, but I'm thinking in my head, I'm not about to get a breaking and entering charge over this. So I drive down Sunset or Wilshire. I think it was Wilshire, whichever way Koreatown is. But from Bel Air to Koreatown, there is so much traffic. It must have been a couple hours. It took so long in the traffic. I don't remember the exact time, but it was a long amount of time. I remember just thinking, of all times for me to be doing this. So I get there, and I think she had given me the number of the producer or director, whoever. Maybe it was just an assist. I don't know, whoever he was. She gave me some number to call when I got there. So I'm like, hey, I'm here. I got something for Nastassja Kinski. He says, okay, go to such and such a door and all that. And so I'm waiting at the door. He literally opens the door, like grabs out of my hand, says thanks, and slams the door on my face as if he knows I'm going to try to get in there. So I don't fight him. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, I don't even know what's going on. I don't know these people. I get in the car, back up, pull away. I call Nastassja, and she picks up the phone. First thing she says, click, did you like her? And I say, I didn't get to meet her. And I tell her the story. She says, turn around. And I say, Nastassja, I can't turn around. I don't even know anyone there. I'm going to get arrested. One thing about me, I'm 6'5" and I'm a big guy. So I look to be a threat. If I'm getting angry and trying to push my way into somewhere, people are going to feel threatened and probably call the cops, especially in LA. Maybe not so much in Boston. It's a little rougher, but in LA, people aren't going to deal with that. They're all about business and movies. Nobody's trying to get into fights over there, really. And so she says, okay, I want you to come back at whatever time, let's say 8 or 9 p.m., whatever it was. She says the daughter is going to be in, she says her daughter's going to be in her trailer. And so I'm to go drive to Nastassja's house. We're to drive together in her car to go meet the daughter in the trailer. So I do. I go home, and that was the thing about this job, is every time I was going to work for Nastassja, it was like 2 hours at a time, 1 hour at a time. So I think she paid me like 15 or 17 an hour under the table. But it was never any hours to be anything. But I didn't need a ton of money really either. So I did it for a little bit. So I go back, we drive there that night, we get to the trailer, much less traffic at night now, and the daughter's in the trailer. So we walk in, the daughter looks kind of confused, looking at me, like, who's this guy my age hanging out with my mother? And so the first thing she says to her, now my name is Jason, but the other star of the movie name was Jason, and Sonia was dating him at the time of this movie, apparently. So Nastassja, right in front of Sonia, says, right in front of Sonia and me, she goes, oh, so where were you with Jason? Meaning the other Jason. So Sonia's like, yeah. And so she looks right at me and she goes, we'll change that, won't we, Jason? And so Sonia looks at me like, what? And I'm like, yep, just playing along. So she essentially tells, hey, you guys go take a walk and talk. And so me and Sonia just take like this quick walk. And I remember her saying like, oh, what do you do? I say I'm a screenwriter. She says, oh, you must be very good. And she's just feeding me like all this stuff. She has no idea what's going on. You know, her mother is forcing this weird situation upon both of us. And we take this quick little walk and walk back to her trailer. And me and Nastassja leave. And we don't really talk about it much on the drive home. She's just like, oh, isn't she pretty? And she had a couple things like that. I'm like, yeah, yeah. So I get home that night and I'm calling everyone I know. And I'm like, guys, I swear to God, I have this rich Hollywood lady and she's trying to hook me up with her daughter. And they're like, yeah, all right. They're like, who are you? You're some nobody from Boston. I'm like out of shape. I've been most of my life. I'm not fat by any means, but believe me, I'm not like in Hollywood shape. I'm just a nobody. I'm broke. You know, nobody knows me. I have no connections. So everyone's like, what does she want with you? And so I say, I don't know, but I swear to God, this is what's going on. It's the truth. And so what ends up happening is I talked to my friend later on that night, Bob, and the producer. And so he's like, oh, no. Because I tell him what's going on with Sony. He's like, don't get involved in that. He goes, if you get involved in that, you're not going to last more than a week. Nobody does. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm riding this till the wheels fall off. I'm going for this. He's like, no, oh my God, no. He's warning me, no. He's like, you don't understand. You know, people in Hollywood are a certain way. There are certain issues they deal with. And you're not the first person this has kind of happened to. Do not get yourself involved in this. I should have listened. And you'll find out why in part two, because it gets much crazier than this.